Today, I have such a good dude. He played Matt McGuire on Lizzie McGuire.
I've been spending probably, I think, the last 5-10 years of my life actively trying to not embrace that character. If I'm going to do this, I need to fully just embrace this character and let it happen. And then I went for that. And then we got canceled.
Just an all-around, sweet, smart, and creative dude, and I'm so glad I got to connect with him like this today. They fucked up with that one. That would have been so good, man.
My response is always, that's Hollywood!
That's showbiz, baby!
Yeah.
It was so great getting to really connect with him. He is such a smart and good dude.
That's another opportunity right there to be an adult and to grow up a bit, but going through that kind of traumatic experience of hey, that's just how it is sometimes.
Hello, growers. Welcome back to Growing Up. Hope you're having a lovely afternoon, evening, or morning whenever you find yourself watching or listening to this. You know you can find our videos on YouTube. You know where to find us if you're just listening to the audio. Spotify, Apple, all the things, wherever you get your podcasts. It's great to be back. I was out of town for a lot of the summer, and I hadn't been in the studio in a while. We luckily recorded enough episodes that we could keep airing them for you, but it feels good to be back in the flow of growing up and having conversations with lovely people about life and this journey we find ourselves on. I hope you enjoy this podcast as much as I enjoyed recording it. Yeah, this is my conversation with Jake Thomas. Jake Thomas, hi.
Hi.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
It's going so well. Thanks for coming on the pod.
Thanks for having me.
I haven't seen you since Christopher Brochu's wedding.
Up in the Bay Area.
Yeah, but even more North Bay area.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Not the normal Bay Area,
No.
the Bodega Bay area.
That's right, Bodega Bay. Yeah, that was nice.
That was a special time.
It was.
That was pre-pandemic.
Man.
Doesn't that seem
What
like...
were those days like?
Exactly.
I don't really remember those days.
I know.
Yeah.
It seems so distant now.
Yeah.
So I see you survived it.
I did. Mm-hmm. I did. And we're currently surviving another hardship of the strike.
Yes.
And we're potentially getting through that one too.
I know. We're seeming like we're in the back end of this
right.
here.
Yeah. So
congrats to the WGA.
Correct.
Getting their contract.
For real.
SAG's next.
Yep. Hopefully.
God bless.
Yeah.
Thank God for podcasts. Am I right?
Although we did just do the strike authorization for video games today, which I wouldn't have cared about unless I was currently working on a video game right now. So that's fun.
And you're currently working on a video game right now? Yeah, see, for me, I was like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I'm not on a video game.
Yeah, I voted yes for strike authorization, where it was the most painful yes.
Yeah.
Because those dates in like a month or so are going to go away. But
your little pen was shaking.
That's just, it is what it is.
So take me way back. You are
born.
You are
Delivery
Disney
room. Okay,
and Nick, generation before me. I grew up watching Lizzie McGuire before I was on Ned's.
Yeah.
How old were you when you got on Lizzie?
Let's see. We shot the pilot when I was at the tail end of 9.
Woo, yep.
And,
see, that's 3 years before me.
Yeah, that must have been late 1999, early 2000s. And then we shot, I think, the first season right in 2000. And then we did 2 seasons, 65 episodes within 2 years, which is...
That's insane.
People, I guess that's just how they did it. How often did you all shoot? How many seasons and episodes?
We did 3 seasons, but 55 episodes over 3.
Wow.
You did
in 3
2
years.
seasons, 65 episodes?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It was kind of nuts.
But kind of cool.
Yeah,
you
it was
knocked
great.
it all out in a couple years.
It felt like forever, but I mean, as a kid, any amount of time like that feels like an eternity.
For sure.
But God, thinking about it right now, shooting 65 episodes, something in 2 years right now would be that would fly by.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You're shooting 10 episode seasons now, a lot of things.
Or 8.
How was your child acting experience? How was your Disney
great.
Lizzie experience?
Yeah, it was enjoyable. Well, I mean, so the thing that's weird too is that the Disney side of stuff, when I got to that acting, it was different from anything else I had done before, because the previous projects I had been doing were all just heavily dramatic. And it was the first things that kids my age were actually watching, because everything else was like, no kids were watching The Cell, a psychological thriller. Yeah, nobody at elementary school recognized me for that one. But when Lizzie came around, people did, and it was different for me being. I guess it was more of a kid friendly environment
for sure.
But it was great. I had a great time with Disney.
Yeah, I had a great time on Ned's, and obviously, like we're hearing a lot of our contemporaries come out with the not so great time they had.
Yeah,
and even having had a great time on Ned's, like there's still weird parts about growing up a kid in an adult industry. Like, there's strangeness.
It is what it is. I mean, it's a weird way to grow up, because in a way you have to grow up, because you have a job. You are there as a child, but you still have a job that adults, their jobs rely on you doing something correctly and doing it, in a timely fashion. So yeah, I mean, it's a weird way to grow up. You definitely mature much faster, but I think it really comes down to a lot of the environments of like, what the adults on set, how they make the environment, how your parents make the environments. At the end of the day, that makes the biggest difference, I think.
I agree entirely. Do you have siblings?
I have 2 half siblings. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. They're not in the industry whatsoever.
Cool. Yeah, my sister either.
Okay. Which is cool. What's the age difference between you and your sister?
2 years. 2 years apart.
Okay. My siblings are much older. They're like 9 to 10 years older.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they were in high school by the time, or they were out of high school by the time that I was out here with my parents.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they just get to watch and go like, well...
I mean, they came out for like premieres and stuff like that, which was really cool. But yeah, for the most part, like we were living out here and they were living in Tennessee still, because I'm originally from Tennessee, and I didn't really grow up with them that much in my adolescent kind of years.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in Georgia, man, before coming out here.
Yeah.
So not far off.
Yeah.
Not far off. That's a whole other life over there.
Yeah. Speaking of adults that make a fun atmosphere on a set, we both share a director that we've worked with, Savage Steve Holland.
Oh my goodness,
which
man.
Has to be, he's like one of the most memorable directors to me, because he was so much fun to work with.
Absolutely. Yeah, for those of you listening who don't know, Savage Steve Holland, he directed a ton of children's television at the time.
Yep.
He did probably like half of our Ned's episodes, it feels like. Like he was a recurring director on Ned's. He shot like probably the majority of Ned's.
We had about 5 or 6 regular directors that we would just rotate through. And he was one of them. He was one of the one that recurred the most, I would say.
Yeah, he's just such a lovely human. And that's what, like you said it right, like that's what it comes down to on these kid show sets, or any set really, is like the environment is set by the producers, the director, and your family. It's really set by, if you're a kid on set, that's who you need to understand children. And then the environment's going to be really good. Savage was like a giant child himself. Yeah. So you're just there having a fun time with him. Yeah. And he's taking care of you, and he's telling jokes, and he's just making sure, hey, you good, baby? Yeah. Oh, okay. Boop, 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 boop. Like, he's such a silly man. Yeah. And that made it like fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. It really did. So I've started now directing in recent years, and I'm working a lot with kids. And I feel like I'm trying to call back, like, what was it that like directors like Savage, what were they doing? How can I implement this into my directing and try to bring that atmosphere?
Yeah. Do you have this thing? I have this thing now when I work with kid actors where part of me feels such an affinity like to them and for them, and I just want to like support them as long as they're cool, as long as they're not little assholes. Yeah. But where like I really want like, oh, you're me in the past, and I just want like you to be good, and I want to support you. I have that part of me, and the part of me that's just like staring into my past and feeling like, this is so weird. Like, what you kid pretending to be mature enough to talk to me. Yeah. And everyone around you, and you think you're mature enough to talk to all of us, but you don't know anything about anything. Like, I also feel this, like, this distaste of like, go away from me, you're weird.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I know what it was to be that age and be in that role. And now that I have so much distance from it, sometimes it freaks me out when I see little kid actors who are all like precocious and like, you know. Yeah, it freaks me out.
Okay.
You get none of that? You just love them, want to support them?
I don't think I go that deep. I'm not sure. But now I'm going to, I feel like.
Yeah, it doesn't freak you out to like look and be like, that's little Jake.
No, but now I'm going to do that.
Yes, perfect.
No, I think...
Perfect.
I think the only thing I do is, this is not with other kid actors, but this is like with my own like nieces and nephews. It's like, okay, you're 10 now. When I was your age, I was working basically a full-time job. You need to start bringing in the money. I have that sit down with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But no,
you're like, I was a fully working adult at 10 years old.
Yeah, you need
what
to
are
be
you
working
doing
towards your
with your
pension
life
right now.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I had a retirement fund at 11.
Roblox isn't going to help you unless you're streaming it. If you start streaming it and putting it on YouTube right now, it could help.
Would you let your future children enter the industry as children?
I mean, if they're cute. I mean, if they're
You'll
cute,
capitalize.
If they're cute and they have an innate sense of humor, then sure.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And if they want to, yeah, okay, that's sure. But why not? I mean, for me, having a good experience and getting to experience the things that no one else my age got to, or very few people my age got to, I wouldn't trade that for the world. So I mean, it's a cool job. It's a cool way to grow up. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, I wouldn't trade my experience for the world, but will I let my future children enter this world?
I mean, it's
probably not.
It's kind of their decision too. I mean, if there's interest there.
It is their decision, but it's also a heavy lift on the parents, man. The older I get and I look at like what my parents did for me, I'm like, damn.
I know. For me, it's like, why the hell did you guys sacrifice? I
sometimes
can't understand that.
I'm like, whoa.
Because it's hard being a stage mom or dad because you have to be there the entire time.
All of the hours we're working, they need to be there. They're working. They're making sure you're fed, you're good, you're safe.
You know your lines, everything like that.
You're ready.
Yeah. I mean, my parents made it work. I mean, their whole intention in coming out to Los Angeles was not for me whatsoever. It was for their careers.
No shit.
I got mixed up in it by total chance.
No shit.
I went with my mom to a meeting with her agent. And at 6 years old, I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. So I would tell just a roster of jokes to anyone who would give me the time of day. And so like, I was at the meeting and I was just like trying to tell jokes to this agent, like constantly. And I guess the agent was like, he'd be really good at the youth department. You want to try it? And my parents were like, okay. And I booked like national commercial after national commercial after I was their highest earner within like 6 months.
And that was in the heyday of commercials. That was when commercials paid real well.
Yeah, exactly. So my parents were like, okay, well, I guess we keep this going. And it just snowballed.
Wow, man.
But I mean, they made it work. I mean, they would have to trade off like actually working like a real job and then being with me. And God, I don't know how they made the sacrifice, but they did. And I'm very thankful for it.
Wow, that's so cool. And did I read? I don't know that I knew that at the time. Were you an AI?
I was.
Spielberg's AI?
Which I booked at the same time as Lizzie. And there was a moment there where we were trying to figure out which one, a pilot for Disney or a Steven Spielberg movie. And they worked it out, and I got to do both. Dude. I got to take like a couple weeks off from the movie to go do this show, and glad it worked out.
I mean, that's obviously one of the most prolific directors in any capacity, but also in working with children.
Right.
The work he did on E.T., getting baby Drew Barrymore and the young kid to act so beautifully and so real and so well. It's not an easy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it working with him, dude? That's so cool.
It's one of those things. I was 9 years old at the time. So it's like, I have no context at all.
For who this man is.
Which is kind of great because there's no fear. I'm not like, if I were to, go do a movie with someone who's Spielberg today, it's like, okay, I've got all this inset of like, this is who this is. You can't mess this up. Don't mess this up. You have to blah, blah, blah. And at 9, it's just like, huh? Oh, okay, cool. And it's like, oh yeah, all right, I can do that. All right, great. Let me go play with this toy while we're waiting to set up.
Right. It's so normal when you're a kid because you don't know anything else. You're just like, oh, this is life.
But looking back on it, there are things that I'm able to realize that he did differently or that was like special. Evidently, he had done this with a lot of his other child actors, which is when I actually went to read for him at a callback over at Warner Brothers, he doesn't actually just read any dialogue scenes, anything like that. I was ready with my sides. Like my parents made sure I was off book on that. And it was just me that was there. No one else was there reading. And it was just him and this casting office and then like 10 producers along the wall. And he was like, hey, no, don't worry about the sides. Just sit down. We're just going to talk. And we talked for like 15 minutes. He just wanted to know about my daily life. He wanted to know about what my brothers and sisters were like, what my pets were like. And he just got to know me on just kind of a base level as a kid. And then later that day found out that I booked it.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. And then on set, his big thing was never wanting things to sound rehearsed. He was constantly like, we'd still be rolling and he would say, okay, that whole paragraph right there at the beginning, say this instead, and then wait like a minute before you say the last part. And then at the other part, say this instead, go. And he'd be trying to keep it fresh. He'd be trying to keep it unrehearsed. He wanted everything to be really natural. So it's stuff I don't see with any other directors in my career doing those two things.
No, that's so cool, man.
Yeah, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. Even though I totally get it. Like as a kid, I'm sure it's cooler to look back on that, because as a kid, you're just like, yeah, this is life. I'm an actor.
I think the other part of that too, which was very interesting, which I'm now remembering as well, is that movie was technically a Kubrick film. So yeah, it's a weird story with this film. So Stanley Kubrick and Steven Spielberg were working with each other on this film. Stanley was going to, I think, direct it, and Steven Spielberg was going to produce it. They were, for years, going back and forth. They would fax each other all these different storyboards, ideas, and everything. And then Stanley Kubrick died, and Spielberg took over. And he was like, I'm going to finish this project for Stanley. And I got to meet Stanley Kubrick's wife and daughter at the New York premiere. And Stanley Kubrick's wife came up to me at the premiere and said, Stanley would have loved you, which at 9 years old means no nothing. Context. Dude. Now it's like,
that's insane. Yeah, for any of you listeners who aren't major film nerds, Stanley Kubrick is the top of the mountain. Yeah. He is the mountain. Yeah. He is film.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Yeah. So that was cool.
That's very cool. That's very cool, man. So kind of like me, had this early success that led to just all these amazing experiences. Yeah. Young Hollywood community, different friends, opportunities that most kids don't have, being exposed to a lot of really cool life and a really dynamic life as a kid. And then for me, man, I mean, I feel like I'm just making it through the transition to adulthood. I feel like I'm just on the back end of not being a fucking kid anymore, even though I'm 32.
I mean, I still hope to continue to be a kid. I mean, to a certain degree. I hope I don't change very much, because I feel like don't lose the little bit of magic, kind of the special sauce
for sure
that we have, because that's what makes us different from everybody else who's just now getting in the game and everything.
Right.
Just not even acting, but just in
life.
Creativity in life. Yeah. So for you, transition-wise, going from Neds and acting, how did you feel like that transition felt like going to adult work?
Like I said, it feels like I'm just coming through it. So after Neds, I realized, I thought, I'm good. Title character, I'm set. My career, let's field all the offers, right? Yeah. I'm fucking set. And I quickly learned in auditions, oh no, I've been on Nickelodeon on one of the broadest shows on Nickelodeon. I need to go learn how to act. So very quickly after Neds, I realized, I need to learn what this craft actually is. And I got into acting classes and started really learning what the work is, and did that for years. And then, I got off Neds at 15, and for 10 years, I was working really hard at getting good and getting really close to a lot. And booking here and there, booking the guest star here and a little recurring here and little indie movies here. A lot of them were really great experiences and stuff, but nothing that was taking my career to a new place as an adult.
I got you.
And I still looked really young. So I think I was kind of riding that weird transition.
That's why we got the facial hair now.
It helps so much.
It helps so
Once
much.
I could grow a beard, I was like, I'm in my 20s, bitch. I'm not a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it took a long time. And to be honest, the most adult I felt on a set, and actually felt like the beginning of my adult career, I've talked about this before, but was I ended up on a movie called Rust. And it was obviously so fucking tragic and still is.
Yeah.
But it was crazy being on that set before everything happened. I was literally having this experience of like, I've been working at this for a long time to make it into my adult career. And I was like having this experience on that set of like, oh my God, I think I'm finally here. Like, I think I can do this. I'm an adult on this set. I'm playing a fucking character-ass cowboy man. I'm one of the men on set. I'm not one of the kids. And yet it felt like the beginning. And then instead of that, it felt like trauma.
I mean, isn't that just a experience of growing up in itself in a microcosm kind of way? But
damn it, Jake, it is.
It's
crazy.
There's no other word for it. It's insane. I cannot begin to fathom what that experience was like, and then trying to come back to that afterwards.
Yeah, we did finish it. And I'm actually so glad we did. I didn't know if I would be, but I was so glad we did on a personal level. I have no idea how it's going to come out. I hope it's good. But on a personal level, for all of us who were there, even though it was really painful to come back, it actually felt like fucking closure.
Yeah, did it?
Yeah,
okay.
Like finish. It hurt. And then when like I wrapped, I actually was like, whoa, I actually feel some closure.
I'm curious, and this kind of goes to a bigger question of, do you ever watch your own work after it's done? Is this something that you think you will ever want to or try to return to watch?
So I do watch my own work. However, I don't like watching my own work like with people. Like I'm watching it to learn and to judge myself in the right way. Like I'm watching to go what worked, what didn't, what can I do better, you know? How'd it go?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of actors who don't watch their work, and I really get that because it also can drive me insane watching my shit some of the time, you know? Because you're never going to get it back.
It changes your perception of it because you're not seeing yourself as in here, you're seeing, oh, I'm not acting. I'm envisioning what the camera is seeing right now. Yeah.
So I think some of the time I won't, some of the time I do watch to know what worked, what didn't. This, I don't know. This one's going to hurt to watch in a different way because half of it will be shot by Helena and half will be shot by Bianca. And that will be strange.
Yeah.
Like, that's just going to hurt in a new way. But I think I will watch it just to further complete this process, to know what happened and what we did. But yeah, this is a strange one to be a part of, man.
I'm sure. I feel like we all have very personal experiences beyond whatever, you know, at the end of the day, the project actually was, whether it was a comedy, whether it was drama, whatever.
Yes.
We always have something that we're taking from that entire experience. So I feel like rewatching things brings all of that up. I feel like that for you, I mean, it's going to carry it a lot, I'm sure. And it's probably, as you rewatch it 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, probably going to change meaning for you. And I hope it just gets better.
Exactly. I hope it stays like in balance of like good and bad and not just like more bad. Because it's been a very painful 2 years and a very confusing thing to have ended up being a part of, you know?
I'm sure.
But life, like you said, it kind of is a microcosm of growing up. Yeah. Life is a fucking weird, big journey like that. Like it literally felt like a 15-year journey to get to Russ, to try and start my adult career, to then become a part of this strange history with it, but also have this like personal fucking wound that's now a part of me. Yeah. And I also feel deeper because of this experience. So that is growing up, isn't it? Like, you aim for something, it doesn't exactly go how you wanted it to. It takes 10 times as long as you wanted it to. Yeah. It comes with some trauma and some pain. And hopefully on the other side comes with more meaning, and you kind of are bigger at the end of it and have more capacity for complexity and for compassion, man. Like, shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, strange journey, Jake.
Definitely.
And then we have our podcasts. Like that has been a journey. After years of like coming in and out of how much I wanted to embrace my like Ned's identity that's held to me by this audience who I love. Yeah. And it's like you had a very positive experience. I had a very positive experience. So like it was never this thing of like, oh, I need to leave that behind. But
Yeah.
of course, getting into my like later 20s, like, do I
still want to be?
do I still want to be that kid?
Yeah. So how was that experience for you then? Did you go through that in your 20s of like, I don't want to be this character. I am a professional actor. I do dramatic work.
I never fully like drew the line.
Okay.
But it was always a discussion.
Yeah, because you're always fighting with it. It was like, hey, aren't you that guy?
Yes, and I'm like, yes, I am, but
also I do this.
I do other things.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So it was for years. It was that like back and forth in my head.
Yeah.
And then literally like then I came back around to fuck it. Let me fully embrace it. Let me pitch a reboot because that'll solve all my problems. I'll be a producer on it. Like, let's go. Pitched it. They passed on it. I was like, what the fuck? And then I was really considering like, okay, do I need to like consciously start drawing that line? And as I was asking that question to the universe, I got hit up by a friend who started Podco, the production company and the podcast company. And he was like, what do you think of a Ned's Rewatch podcast? And I was like, we're doing it again. Let's go, baby. Yeah. How'd you come around to the Lizzie McGuire pod?
I mean, it's literally the same thing. Okay. So for a long time, was like, look, I get it. I love the character of Matt McGuire. But I was between the ages of 9 and 13, if you count the movie. And while it was great, it's like, I'm in my 20s. I do dramatic things. Like, I was in a fucking Spielberg movie. But for a long time, I was kind of rejecting that part of me. And this went even further of like, I was in college at the time and I wasn't auditioning as much because I was just focusing on school. I was doing in between a lot of photography and then working my way towards directing. And I was like, I don't want anyone to know who I am from my past, anything like that. I want to book something like photography-wise. I want to start doing things that are not off of my laurels. I'm not resting on those. I'm doing something off my own merit of something I've made myself. And I got very annoying, I feel like. I just ended up hindering myself in the process. But it was around like when the reboot started happening. There was like rumors in like 2019 of like, maybe something's going to happen, maybe something won't. There's been rumors. And then in the later half of 2019, they're like, hey, we want to reach out to do the reboot. And it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, I've been spending probably, I think, the last 5-10 years of my life actively trying to not embrace that character. If I'm going to do this, I need to fully just embrace this character and let it happen. And then I went for that. And then we got canceled. so it's a little hard to go back from that quickly. So I'm like, fuck it, just let it roll.
Life's so funny, dude.
So yeah, I mean that's how it goes.
Life is so funny,
that's how
dude.
it goes.
You're like, all right, I'm fucking Matt McGuire. I am him. And they're like, yoink.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope, canceled.
So, it's whatever. It's whatever. So yeah, I'm just here living it. And you know what? Hey, it's great. I've got 2 memes. I have a meme.
Yeah, you're memed out
I
there.
have memed out, so I fully embrace it. I think it's great.
Yeah, so it's a similar thing of like the reboot got pulled, my reboot never went, and then I'm like, when the podcast opportunity came up, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the audience is out there and is amazing, and they're our age.
Yes.
Like, we've all actually gone through a journey together in our lives growing up, and because of those characters, because of Lizzie McGuire, because of Ned's, like, we get to speak to these people and relate about our growing up experience. Like, it has been fascinating.
Yeah. It's essentially like getting to, in a way, catch up with a childhood friend in a way. And like, hey, you remember when we did that shit? That was hilarious. You know what really happened was this. Oh, we couldn't talk about it before, but now we can do it. Yeah, it's nice. It's, in a way, it's also pretty therapeutic. I feel like talking about the journey to adulthood, I feel like, going through all this and in a way retelling it and reliving it and re-embracing it has definitely helped, I don't know, feel like more of an adult or at least feel like I have a better understanding of everything, of the whole journey, or at least the first chapter of the journey.
I agree, man. I feel both more whole as an adult because of this like embracing of the past and now like reliving it with my castmates and now creating something new with them.
Yeah.
I feel more whole as an adult, but part of that has to do with, I feel where for a long time, that part of my past started to feel really far off. I feel more close to it. I feel more connected to the pure child that I was who was just having fun, being presented with opportunities and kind of going on this little magical journey of becoming an actor kid, you know?
Yeah.
That's been the surprising part is how healing it's been doing the fucking podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Look at us. Look at us.
Wow.
Who would have thought, man?
Know.
Yeah, you're really adulting. I saw on your Instagram, you're fucking lime washing your walls. I've never even heard of that until your Insta story.
I've never lime washed before. Full disclaimer. A friend did his whole place in lime wash. And I was like, wow, this paint looks great. I want to try this. And he just sent me the location where to go. And then I'm sitting there with a couple gallons of paint. And I'm like, what is this?
What do I do now?
Yeah, no, I've been remodeling my place for a couple years now. Well, last year I did the entire kitchen myself, which...
You like torture.
Yes, I do.
pain.
Evidently, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, because the first remodel project I did was a couple years ago, and I had a contractor do that, and I felt like I was doing a lot of the work myself, and I was like, that needs to be changed. Let me just do that. And then this time I was like, I'm just going to do it myself, which in hindsight would not do that again. Don't recommend, but saved a ton of money, and I learned a lot of stuff, and now I have a bunch of tools.
That makes you more of a man.
Maybe. But yeah, now I'm doing two small bathrooms simultaneously.
Dude.
So I'm halfway through
I respect
demo.
the hustle.
I hate not doing things myself. I think is the root issue there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a ton of reward to doing it yourself.
Absolutely. But there's also a lot of punishment in it. It's like, because if you do something wrong, you're going to look at that one spot and think, I should have done that differently.
Yeah, I should have fixed that.
Fixed
it when I was doing it.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I hope to just have enough money that I can pay people to do it all.
And that's totally fine. That's totally fine.
There's some things I like doing myself, but lime washing my walls, I don't know,
It wasn't
man.
that bad. The lime washing wasn't that bad.
Okay, there's worse. What was the worst?
Oh God, what was worse? I built all of my cabinets for my kitchen and installed them by myself, including the wall cabinets, which there's video of me, because I did a whole YouTube video on this, where I was like, I'm just going to record the whole thing. And literally people were concerned with all my Instagram stories as I was doing this. Like, are you okay?
Yeah, you got a crazy look in your eye.
Like, things are a little off. Yeah, I mean, like building the cabinet, holding the cabinet up against the wall, simultaneously grabbing the screwdriver and then screwing it into the wall, but dropping the screw about 5 times in the process. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't.
Man.
Plumbing is fine, though.
Is it?
Yeah, plumbing's fine.
Okay. Dude, you're a real adult. You're building cabinets.
No, I'm just learning how to do shit on YouTube and then applying that. That's not adulting.
That is adulting. Do you hear that, audience? Being an adult is learning how to do things on YouTube and then applying them. Honestly, that's half the battle. I don't know how to do something. Well, guess what? YouTube and Google, you can learn how to do anything.
And a little bit of gusto. That's all you need.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. I don't always have that gusto. I'm like,
don't get that dog in you all the time.
Not all the time. Yeah. No, with certain things,
sometimes
but I save it.
I got that cat in me. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm more of a cat man myself.
Yeah.
You
Do
know?
you have cats?
I have a cat.
I have 2 cats. What's your cat's name?
My cat's name, he's a cat of many names, but for this podcast, we'll call him King Mango Mochi.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mochi. He's a fluffy orange ball of mochi.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I've heard things about orange cats. Does your cat have full orange cat brain?
Let me clarify something here, Jake, for the fucking internet. There's memes going around, okay, that say orange cats are fucking crazy. Oh, that's orange cat behavior. I don't know who these orange cats' parents are, okay, because my orange cat is a little fucking angel.
Oh, okay.
He's the best boy you've ever met. I've heard it from many people. They say, your cat is the best cat I've ever met. And I say, I know, he's an angel. So I don't accept this orange cat slander going around TikTok.
Okay, all right.
Just because you raised a crazy orange cat, just because you don't know how to create a real relationship with your orange cat, doesn't mean orange cats are crazy.
It might be a nature versus nurture thing. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
It's a nurture thing.
Okay.
If you build the relationship, dude, he's the best guy in the world.
How old?
12.
12. Okay, so he's settled.
He's a settled boy.
Yeah. But as a kitten, he had no rambunctious, crazy running through screen doors.
Well, every kitten.
Okay.
Every kitten gets the zoomies.
All right. Okay.
Every kitten gets the zoomies.
All
Every
right.
child gets the zoomies. Every puppy, right?
Okay.
Like, yeah, he was a kitten, but still.
Casting a wide net here.
Listen, my cat's the best. He's the best dude in the world, and he's maybe my favorite relationship in the world. It's really a special bond having
cool.
a cat who's like a buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are your cat's names?
I have T-Max.
T-Max.
T-Max, named after a black and white Kodak film stock. T-Max 400.
Wow. You photography film nerd.
I know.
I love it.
My first animal, when I was born, my parents already had a golden retriever, Kodak. So I'm kind of continuing that as well.
Cool.
So I don't know.
You're carrying on the tradition.
And then there's Ellie, short for Elmerit, which is a Leica lens.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's a bit of a stretch
I love
there.
it. Actually, I love it. You're keeping them in the film world.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you
Both black cats.
Did you go to college for film? Did you go to film school?
So yes and no. I went to college for as much shit as they would let me do until they told me I had to graduate in something. I went to college for like 10 years and I maxed out completely on units.
What?
Yeah. So I got my GED because that whole thing.
Of course. I got that at 16.
Yeah, I got it like 15, 16, something around there.
Yeah.
Didn't have my last 2 years of high school.
Yep.
Started taking community college classes, LA Valley College, like age 17.
Yep.
Took LA Valley College classes until, God, had to have been 2014, a long time. And then I went to Cal State Northridge.
Yeah.
Again, took classes and everything. For a while, I was a psychology major. For a while, I was, I'm going to do electrical engineering. I'm going to do linguistics. I'm going to do economics for a little while. And then I took some classes that were like, oh, here's how you become a sanitation expert or something.
Oh my God.
A lot of classes. I took a lot of photography classes. I started doing studio photography work. Then I started taking screenwriting classes. And I was like,
those are fun.
This is interesting because I'd grown up reading scripts, grown up, watching movies, being in movies, TV shows. Inherently, I knew when a story worked because you watch something, you read something like this just hits. There's something about this just really works. Studying screenwriting is like, this is the fundamental basics. This is how it works. This is why it works. You need to do this, and then this needs to happen. That was so beneficial for me because I feel like I have a totally new understanding to the entire craft of filmmaking, which was fantastic. And then I got a minor in Japanese. So I speak Japanese fluently.
Jesus. You literally did a little bit of everything,
Yeah, a little bit.
Kind of a lot of bit of everything.
A lot of bit. Hey, if they had a class on making kitchens, I probably would have taken it, to be fair.
I had a similar thing where I took a screenwriting class like in my 20s at UCLA, just kind of like a one-off. And I had that same thing where I was like, I have read and understood what scripts were good and what were bad my whole life, but now I know why. And now I know the pieces that make it work, or if a script isn't working, why? Yeah, change my, it made me fall deeper in love with writing, story, all of it. Yeah, that was a big one. And then directing came kind of simultaneously, or what?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, so I was doing a lot of, after college and kind of during college, I started doing photography. Not just for fun, but like I was doing editorial. I was doing key art for TV shows. Wow. I was doing advertising. I started doing commercial photography and advertising. I was like, damn, like I was making a killing, like doing commercial photography. And it was like, this is so far like taken away from acting now. Yeah. And I made the decision actually right before COVID hit, when they said that the Lizzie reboot was going to happen. I was like, I'm going to make the transition. I'm going to be super, picky with whatever projects. I'm not doing any commercial stuff. I'm only going to do directing. Because I'd done stuff that was like advertising that was a mix of like photography and also video campaigns. I was like, I like doing the video campaign. I like doing the video kind of stuff. I want to move slowly away from like being the guy who is delivering all of these different assets for a campaign to just coming
the
in,
video.
directing it, doing that's it. And so, I doing that reboot, I was like, I felt like I had the freedom of choice. Now I was like, I'm going to just focus on directing. And that was hard to give up, but I'm glad I did because I work a lot now with Nickelodeon. I direct a lot of the Nickelodeon movie promos for like Paramount and stuff like that with all the Nickelodeon kids. And it airs on Nickelodeon stuff. So it's been really nice. It's been great.
So awesome.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
I love this transition for you. It's great. And you're still acting.
Yes. Yeah. So
once the strike's over.
Yeah, exactly. Once the strike's over. Yeah, I fill in my time in between directing or acting with, it's both, they both work simultaneously.
Yeah, of course.
It's all the same thing.
Yeah. It's the same world.
Which it's nice to have that other thing that I can focus on between auditions.
Absolutely.
And
because
both of them are gig-based anyway, so it's not like I have to have hours or whatever.
Dude, exactly. No, I mean, because in between auditions, there's a lot of time. So for me, it's like the podcast and my music. Like, I'm so glad I have other stuff because I'll always pursue acting. Yeah. Always. And the cool thing is, like, when I look at projects that I love, like, we have so much time. Yeah. I try and not get in my head about like, because there have definitely been times in my life where I'm like, I'm running out of time, like that feeling, that scarcity of like, I'm late, like I'm missing it. But then when I look at like so many actors that I love and so many amazing roles on TV shows or movies, I'm like, that's a grown ass man. Like I have till I'm 50, till I'm 60 to make this happen. Like, so I'm just going to settle into the fact that like, there'll be slow years and then shit'll pick up. Yeah.
I like to recall something that I did a movie with Mark Margolis, who he just sadly passed away. He told me when actually I was doing a movie, a Tony Vidal movie down in Mexico. He told me, because I'd ask him like, what's the overall goal if I want to continue acting into to old age? And he was like, just outlive everybody. Just keep going, because if you stick with it, literally, if you continue just acting, if you continue just with the craft and everything, everybody kind of falls off, and the pool of actors gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It's not like that's the key to success, but it's like it's legitimately like stick with something and
stay in it.
You don't have to hit it big today, tomorrow, as long as you're staying with your craft.
Yeah,
ride the wave.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes it's a long lull
That's
between waves.
That's just how it is.
And sometimes the wave picks up like the reboot and crashes.
And then crashes.
Well, they fucked up with that one. That would have been so good, man.
My response is always, that's Hollywood.
That's showbiz, baby. Yeah. I know. I was sad because Lizzie was the show. Like I was watching Even Stevens and Lizzie before I was on these channels. Yeah. And like, I was bummed when I heard they like fumbled the reboot. It seemed like such a great idea.
Yeah, you would think.
And at least what went out in the press, like the reasons why being like people wanted to make a real reboot for adults with adult themes and creators were trying to keep it PG.
It was early days of, not even early days of Disney Plus. Disney Plus hadn't even launched.
Right.
Yet. So I think it was a lot of, Disney Plus was trying to figure out what they wanted the platform to be.
Right.
Meanwhile, Disney Plus wasn't the actual like production company. Disney Channel was the one producing it. So you have like kind of different entities within Disney that are trying to figure out what it is. And then you've got the creative team and the showrunner who they also have different ideas of what it is. And it was just, it's too bad. I'll just say that. It's too bad because I think it could have worked out really well.
Yeah.
Had this happened right now, with the way that like Disney Plus is right now, I don't think it would have been a problem.
Right.
I think we would have, it would have been great. Yeah, it would have been totally fine.
Yeah.
And even if they had gone ahead at the time and just let it happen and just write it out, it would have been great.
Yep.
So I got to catch up with that's showbiz, baby. I got to catch up with the writers from the reboots. First time I'd seen them since we shot the reboot.
Yeah.
And, just interesting. I mean, there's a lot of potential, but
a lot of potential, man.
Yeah.
That really is Hollywood. Like, and I mean, that's creativity in general. It's all potential.
Yeah.
Creativity itself is potential, and you're trying to pull something down into the actual.
Yeah.
And how many things don't?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The fact that we even shot 2 episodes insane with how hard it is just to get to that point
Insane,
and shoot something.
but also feels a little more devastating.
Yeah, I know.
Because you're actually
like, it's a sure
going.
thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So now, I mean, it definitely has taught me a lesson, I feel like, because...
A painful lesson?
Yeah, a painful lesson, because I never thought we would do a reboot. I never thought it's like I heard rumors for years. I'm like, there's no freaking way anyone's going to do this. And then when it's actually happening, it's like, I'm on top of the world right now. This is insane.
Yeah.
Life is about to, again, get
Open
totally
up and
insane.
get real fucking cool. Yes.
And I feel like maybe even for a little while there, I was like letting that go to my head a little bit, where I was like, I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling pretty good about myself. Oh, there's a TikTok party? Oh yeah, I'd love to go. Yeah, I mean, it was an insane period of time. And then, that rug is pulled out from underneath you. And I definitely approach things now with a little bit of caution.
Yeah.
I won't believe it until it's on the air.
Yeah, a little detachment.
I'm not going to believe, I'm not going to commit to anything, like to feeling totally confident until it is 100% out there, complete, blah, blah, blah.
So crazy.
But yeah,
it's
I know.
So crazy because normally that's built into all of us in Hollywood, but normally it's like once you're on set and you're not fired after a couple days.
Unless you're Batgirl, then, I mean, you shoot an entire season.
Oh. God. This industry is brutal, man.
It really is.
Work your whole life to have an opportunity like Batgirl, like to have a reboot again, and just have it fucking fall apart for whatever reason. It's so tragic.
That's all.
Did you get depressed after?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's hard not to.
No, you must. That's the appropriate response. I mean, literally chemically, it's the appropriate response is because you're working towards something and the only way for you to get that nice dopamine payoff at the end of hard work is for the thing to happen. Yeah. And when it doesn't, like, depression is the only
legitimately
response.
And I feel like what made that worse was they kept us kind of like dangling on a line for the rest of the year on our contract during COVID. So not only is like
hanging on
we're going through the entire year of COVID, everything stopping, nothing's filming, health insurance about to run out, and then it's like December of 2020 where it's like, hey, things are looking good. There's a new showrunner. We're going to be filming again soon, and then nope, like within 2 weeks.
Oh my God!
And it's so it's like, damn. So yeah, I mean, it was depressing. It was definitely depressing there for a while, but again, it gave me a new perspective. That's another opportunity right there to be an adult and to grow up a bit, but going through that kind of traumatic experience of like, hey, that's just how it is sometimes. Yeah. And you just got to keep on pushing through. You got to keep on going. You got to be a meme.
Yeah. It's hard, man. It's a hard journey, but it is good. It does grow us up.
Yeah.
It does grow us up. I like when I get through the other side of those depressions.
Definitely.
And I go, oh, hey, I made it.
Yeah.
Wasn't so bad.
Exactly.
But in it
hurts. It hurts. It sucks. Yeah.
It sucks. Yeah. And to stack COVID on top of that.
Yeah. It was a weird time.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yep.
Wife, girlfriend?
Oh, girlfriend.
Girlfriend.
Yeah.
Were you guys together during COVID?
Yeah.
Cool. So you went through an entire reboot, opportunity, rug pull, COVID, and you're still together and renovating a condo. So you guys are it. You guys are good.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, sick. Okay, good. Because I know a lot of people who COVID was the catalyst for people realizing like, this ain't us.
So here's an interesting question, because I've had a lot of similarities, I feel like, between this strike that we're going through and still going through and COVID in a way where it was both difficult times of like no work, there's not a lot else to do, and just overall stress involved with it. How do you feel like going through, personally for you, going through COVID, lockdown, not working, anything like that, to strike, shut down, and not working? How is that?
There are definitely similarities.
Yeah.
Except for COVID was felt like an entire collapse of the world and institutions as I knew it.
Yeah.
Where the strike just feels like the shutdown of my industry.
Yeah.
COVID was such a mind fuck for me because you're just watching the absurdity and the lack of anyone's ability to handle the situation right and realizing oh, whoa, this whole world is more fragile than I want it to be. So it was a much more intense level of stress and anxiety. But yeah, there's some similarities in the shutdown.
For me, I don't know about you, I enjoyed kind of the shutdown of COVID.
Like the break?
I enjoyed the break because there was no pressure. It felt like the world is on pause. There's horrific things happening, but in my own little bubble, I'm safe and my family's safe. And I can basically just take this time to breathe and relax. And I feel like that time was much needed. I loved it. I wish I could go back to it. Whereas I feel like for me, within my household, the strike has been more stressful because it's okay, I have work. I have work that's because the directing that I do is non-union.
Okay.
I have people reaching out for work.
Yeah.
I can't do that. That work is struck.
Right.
And it's there's none of the shared environment of everything is shut down. It's you as a union member, you are shut down. You can't do anything. And respecting that but feeling that pressure of oh man, I want to be working. I want to be working. And this is difficult, but it's something you got to get through.
Yep.
Those have been, at least for me, those two scenarios, how no work, but very different feelings between them.
No work, but a respite.
Yeah.
And now no work, but stress.
Yeah.
I feel a little the inverse. COVID actually, I did feel that slow down, which was really nice. I felt like I was both decompressing from years of shit, but compressing in a different way from other stresses.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed how slow things got during COVID, but also I was pretty stressed about everything.
Yeah.
During this strike, I feel a little of the inverse because I have my podcast and because I have music I'm releasing that okay, acting's on pause right now.
Yeah.
That work is struck. And I'll do my other things until it comes back, you know?
What are you guys doing right now for your pod? Because I know podcasts have been a weird gray area where it's okay, it's not technically struck work, but it's also depending on what you're doing. So there's been a lot of different opinions and everything on it. So what have you been doing?
So look, Ned's pod is a rewatch pod, but really we talk about the show for 10 minutes and then we talk about anything else.
I got you.
How ours went down was we had shot a ton of episodes before the strike.
Yeah.
Podco was getting clarification from SAG on our weird gray area.
Yeah.
Also, the Ned's contract, the Lizzie contract, was not anything that's being negotiated now. This is an old ass contract.
Yeah.
But it's a weird gray area because it's still sort of promoting Disney, sort of promoting Paramount.
Yeah.
So we had a bunch that we already shot. So we aired those. Then we got told by SAG, you should probably you can still do the show, just don't. We pivoted away from rewatches and Ned's guest. So we'll just talk.
Yeah.
But then, even though the strike's not over, we just got word from SAG that we're fine.
Oh.
So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it was gray.
Yeah.
And then it was on both sides of it.
Yeah.
We got told no, and now we got told you're fine. Just do your show.
I've just taken a break. Just because it's
a lot of shows have.
Just because I'm I don't want to step on. I'm overly cautious with everything.
Our show, it's not heavily focused on the show.
Ours, we talk about the show the entire time. We're we're breaking down
so
every
is Pod
scene
Meets
and
World,
everything.
so is Wizards. A lot of these shows do. Our show, we couldn't talk about a Ned's episode for 45 minutes. There's just not that much to talk about, dude. Our show's a fucking cartoon.
Yeah.
So most of the time, it's us just talking about life.
Okay.
So
yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, it's so weird with this strike in particular too, because it's the first time that I've gone through a strike. We had the WGA strike, in 2007.
Yep.
But we've never had
an actor strike. No,
we've never had an actor strike where it's affecting us. But I think more so too, as compared to older strikes, this one all the unions have been really on top of things, just because there's so much media, there's influencers and everything out now that's like, oh, there are talent, but not union talents, depending. And it's been a little more treacherous with like people, and also people online like will jump on you depending on what you're putting out there.
For sure.
Even if it was stuff that was already pre-recorded, pre-existing contracts or whatever, people had to start putting disclaimers on ads.
This was recorded before,
and everything.
Yeah, or this as an agreement. Yeah.
It's God, it's been a weird time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Life's a weird time.
Yeah.
But it keeps going.
Yeah.
And we keep going.
Yes.
Jake, I like to finish episodes by asking our guests to give the audience a tip about life.
Okay.
A tip for growing up. Tip for life.
Always have a licensed electrician do the rough electrical in your home. Don't try to do it on your own, thinking that like, oh, I can save a little bit. Just have them do it.
His girlfriend just said, didn't you get electrocuted a little bit?
Stay classy.
Jake, thank you so much for coming, man. I love that tip.
Thanks for having me.
Someday I'll have a house where I can pay for an electrician, but until then, I'll be renting until I'm 40. Where can people find you?
I'm on YouTube, Jake Thomas, TikTok, Jake Thomas, and then Instagram, Sir Jake Thomas.
And the Lizzie McGuire pod will come back when the strike's over?
Potentially, yeah, probably, whenever the strike ends.
Yeah, and you do like weekly episodes when you're doing it?
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, which could mean twice a week or every 2 weeks.
So true. Yeah, bi-monthly would be...
Yeah.
Twice a month.
Or
every 2 weeks.
Every 2 months. It's either way.
All right. Well, you'll see the Lizzie McGuire pod sometime. And Jake Thomas on all the things. Man, great to see you.
Great
Thanks
to see
for coming.
Thanks for having me.